How's it going, everybody? It's Stas here. Hope you guys had a great weekend and are ready to get back into it. I for sure am. And in today's video, we're going to break down some stocks, my thoughts on the markets, companies reporting earnings this week, and overall what my game plan is. So sit back, relax, go down below, get your $50 from M1 Finance, your 2 stocks from Webull, up to $1,600. All you have to do is deposit $100 into each of those platforms, and you get your free money. And you could also check out my Patreon if you want my real-time buys, sells, call-outs, and a bunch of other exclusive content. That is also linked right down below. So without further ado, let's get right into it and break down quickly what ended up happening last week. Then we'll take a look at the futures market, which has been open now for about an hour and a half. It's currently 7:30 p.m. on the East Coast. And if you guys didn't see the markets last week, well, they did very well. The S&P 500, in terms of SPY, which is an ETF that tracks the S&P 500, hit a brand new all-time high at $435.84. And when it comes down to SPX, the index itself, it hit 4,371 points, which is just ridiculous considering a couple of weeks ago, on the 18th of June, we were at about 4,165. So we're up about 5% over the past 3 weeks in the S&P 500, and you guys can clearly see going back to SPY, we ended up breaking out of that 434 level of resistance the past couple of days, and now we're pretty much in breakout territory, meaning we broke out of a resistance, and at this point there aren't any other resistance levels to judge on because, again, we're at all-time high. So at this point, we could go maybe 440, 445, even though that is a bit overextended, but hey, anything is possible. And from there, maybe we do start to see a pullback afterwards, maybe back towards that 50 SMA, which we held last week here on the 4-hour chart, or maybe around the 180 SMA, which we also held in the lower 420 levels. So watch out for those points on SPY, and overall, there's not much to say, guys, but other than the bulls are 100% in charge right now. And when it comes to the futures, actually, let's take a look at QQQ first. QQQ last week, we talked about this on Friday's video, so I don't want to repeat myself too much, but QQQ ended up breaking out of 360. That was a good sign. We closed at 361, and now I have my alert at $362 per share, which I believe if we do break that point, we're going to be hitting all-time highs, which are at $362.76. And you guys can see here on the 4-hour chart, I feel like if we broke out of that point, we'd be seeing a very similar technical pattern to what we saw with SPY, which broke out of the resistance already on Friday, and it's kind of like a buy the breakout event. It's in a breakout zone. So I feel like QQQ will be in that same camp where if it took out 362, 363, it would be a buy the breakout event. It would be in a breakout zone, and we probably would be going, and not for sure, guys, of course. I mean, I'm not a genie, but by the looks of it, we could be going 365, 370 in the very short term. And, of course, after that, we'd be very overbought, and we'd probably be seeing some sort of pullback. So when it comes to the futures right now, nothing too crazy. We have the Dow futures up 17 points, up 0.05%, but nonetheless, they are up, which is a good sign. S&P futures are up 0.06%. In other words, they're up 2.5 points, so nothing too crazy. And the Nasdaq 100 futures, let's see what those are up. What are those up? Okay, they're up a little bit more. They're up 0.12%, up about 18 points here. So all of the futures, in terms of the main indexes here, they're up. We have gold. Let's see what gold and silver are doing. Gold is down 0.17%. Silver's down 0.1%. So overall, guys, markets in terms of what happened last week are looking very bullish, and the futures action as of now is also looking good. Well, not for the precious metals, but for the S&P, the Nasdaq, and the Dow. And I'm going to be monitoring this heading into the morning tomorrow. And of course, if you guys are in my Patreon, you're in the top tier. I do a morning update video every single trading day. So we're going to be breaking down the price action tomorrow morning as well. And check that out, link down below as always, if you guys are interested. And earnings season is kicking off this week. We have banks, a bunch of banks, guys. The big banks out there. We have JP Morgan this week. Let's see. They're reporting on the 13th, I believe. Yeah, so that's on Wednesday or Tuesday. We have Goldman Sachs reporting. They're on Tuesday as well. We have Wells Fargo, which I told you guys I invested in them thinking they were going to be a turnaround play. That was about a year, 2 years ago. I ended up getting burned, but either way, they're reporting earnings on the 14th, so that's on Wednesday. We have Bank of America this week as well. They're reporting on the 14th, so that's Wednesday. Then we also have Morgan Stanley. They're reporting on the 15th, which is Thursday. And we do have a couple other companies like PepsiCo. They're reporting. This is a stock that I own for the long term in my long-term account. And we also have some airlines. Well, one airline, Delta Airlines, they're reporting on the 14th. And I'm assuming AAL, UAL, a bunch of these other ones, they're coming up soon as well. Yup, AAL is reporting on the 22nd of this month. UAL is reporting on, let's take a look, the 21st of this month. Southwest Airlines, LUV, they're reporting on the 22nd of this month. So a lot of these companies are starting their report, and you guys should know at this point, maybe you don't, but later on in the month, more towards the end of July, we have big tech names. We have Apple, Amazon, we have Facebook. The big giants are going to be reporting soon here, guys. So get ready, strap yourselves up, because this roller coaster ride is just getting started, guys. So let's break down some stocks in general that I'm looking at. And overall, at this point in the markets, guys, us being at all-time highs, us being extended, I feel like I'm a broken record right now, but I'm sticking to it, because when it comes to trading, you have to stick to your guidelines. You can't really shift and go off the rails and go crazy. And typically for me, when markets are super extended, they're at all-time highs, I'm being less aggressive. You know, that's the way I trade. And when we see drawbacks, pullbacks, it's very simple. I start putting that cash that I was holding on the sidelines back to work. And at this point, I'm about 45, 50-ish% cash. And that doesn't mean I'm not trading. I mean, I'm in a bunch of swing trades. I've also been day trading a lot, more than usual as of late. Well, really just one stock, SPCE, which we're going to talk about right now. And SPCE, which is Virgin Galactic, they had their big test flight recently with Richard Branson, and guess what, guys? It went successfully. It went all according to plan, and we saw Richard Branson, the whole crew up there floating in, on the cusp of space, whatever you want to call it, because they're not really blasting through into space, but they're on the edge of orbit or something like that. You guys out there that know more about astronomy or whatever, the layers of the earth, you probably know more than me about it, but they felt the weightlessness, let's put it that way. They were floating around, and it went well. And I was reading they're actually doing and they're doing a bunch of marketing now. I got a bunch of ads on YouTube in terms of traveling up to space with them, and they're doing two free seats. So wouldn't that be crazy if you guys, hypothetically, here's a question to the audience, if you guys were to win that free seat, would you go? Let me know. Me personally, I probably wouldn't go. I'm too scared of heights. I talked about this in one of my recent videos. Even if I got paid, I probably wouldn't go. I'm kind of a wussy, guys. Don't get on me because of that. I'm just being honest. So, yeah, Virgin Galactic, the flight went well. And to give you guys a little bit more of a couple metrics here, well, only two. They flew up Richard Branson with 3 company employees, and they flew up 53 miles above the Earth in the final test mission before kicking off commercial space flights later next year. And he earned his pilot license, Branson, recently, and he tested the astronaut cabin experience, which if you probably didn't see my video from a couple months ago. I mean, who remembers videos from yesterday, let alone a couple of months ago? But I made a video going over the whole cabin, what the spaceship actually looks like, which if you guys watched the video, you saw it. It's pretty cool. There's there's windows everywhere. You can float around. You can look outside. It's pretty awesome. So yeah, and at this point in time, and I don't know why I have Facebook stock pulled up, not Virgin Galactic. At this point in time, it's very difficult to predict what this stock is going to do in the short term. I mean, I mentioned to you guys, if the test flight were not to go well, which it went well, which is great, but let's play devil's advocate here. If it didn't go well, that would not be good for the stock whatsoever. I have no doubt in my mind that the stock would tank. But now that it went well, everything went smoothly, I feel like it's a bigger chance that we either shoot up big time tomorrow, 20-30%, or we end up popping a little bit and then slowly rising up the next couple of days. I feel like those two scenarios, there's a bigger chance of that happening as opposed to us completely tanking or seeing a classic buy the rumor, sell the news event. Because the difference here is this is not just some, regulatory approval or a little test flight before the bigger test flight that's before the bigger test flight. This is the test flight. This is Richard Branson going up. This is what everyone's been waiting for. So I feel like now that it happened, now that people are going to be flying potentially next year, on these flights, this is a huge door that's open for the business, and potentially new money will be flowing in here because now, yes, it's still a speculative stock, but now the road to making money is more clear, and it's a bigger possibility that they're actually going to make money because, God forbid, if that flight were to crash or something crazy were to happen, that window of them making money and having people actually go up to space and pay money for these tickets, that window would close and narrow again like it did in 2014 when we saw casualties with this company. So I feel like there's a bigger chance it shoots up. But then again, anything could happen. We could see a big sell-off followed by the shoot up. I have no idea. And for that reason, I didn't hold any shares over the weekend. And I mentioned to you guys, and you guys in my Patreon know, I've been day trading this thing, but the key word is day trading, right? I'm in and I'm out, and I'm in cash when the market closes. But then again, I do have a long-term position. So either way, I'm going to be riding this ride with you guys, and I'm super excited about it. So what do you think? Drop me a comment down below. If you guys are enjoying the video thus far, make sure to smash that like button. And what are your thoughts in general on Virgin Galactic here? We also have RBLX, Roblox, which is one I'm looking at right now. This hit $103 back in the beginning of June. Now we're hovering at 86 per share. It's down about 17%. And it wasn't a bear market, I believe, on Thursday. It pierced into bear market territory when it was under about $83 per share. It was down about 22% from the all-time high from that point. Excuse me, guys. And at this point, as you all can see, we're trading under both moving averages on the 4-hour chart. We're holding a higher low at about 83 and popping up to $85, but we're making lower highs at the same time. So at this point, we need to see direction for Roblox, and I would love, honestly, to go long on this if it were to break out of the moving averages, which again, we closed under those on Friday, and if we broke out of the wedge at about $90. So I'm going to give it some wiggle room, and I'm going to be patient on it, and I'm going to put my alert at $90 per share, which would put it well above the moving averages and right around the wedge here on the 4-hour chart, which again, it needs to break. Peloton's another stock I'm looking at. Peloton, ticker symbol PTON. This sold off 5% on Friday. It closed at $117.84. And by the looks of it, And this I'm not complaining about, but by the looks of it, this wants to go to about 114 to test that triple top resistance that we saw from the end of May into the beginning towards the middle of June, right around here at $114. So I feel like the closer it gets to that point, and the 180 SMA on the 4-hour chart as well, right around 110, 112, 114, the closer we get there, and you guys can see it based on the arrow right here, the more I believe buyers will step in to push this thing back up towards 120, 125, and heck, maybe even back to 130, which we almost got to on the 7th of July, just 4 calendar days ago. So I like Peloton here on the dip, but we just have to wait for the confirmation of the bounce first. Snapchat is another one that I feel like I've been talking so much about, but I have been because the opportunity I feel like is solid. The trend looks great. We held the higher low a couple days ago. We bounced right around the 180 SMA. We closed above $65, which was resistance from the middle of March all the way through the middle of June. So these are great signs that we're going to continue moving up. And Snapchat's also reporting earnings this month on the 22nd of July. So like I said, a lot of these names, the big tech names, the exciting companies, although banks are not really exciting, but later on in July, a lot of the exciting companies are going to start reporting, guys. So we're going to be watching Snapchat at about $66. And notice how we're right around the 50 moving average here on the 4-hour chart. That might act as resistance, this green trend line. So be mindful of that. And if we get any sort of mini pullback to 65, 64.50, that'd be a decent entry in my opinion. Or if we just plow right through the 50 moving average and the low point from the end of June, which is right around $66, we might just be V-shaped recovering right back up to 70. So either way, I'm going to be watching Snapchat very closely this week, ticker symbol SNAP. And out of all the bank stocks, in terms of short-term movement and a potential trade, I like the way Morgan Stanley's setting up. We're in a wedge very similar to what we saw with Roblox, although it is a little different, the trend that is, because this one's in a more drawn-out wedge from the past couple of months, as Roblox has gotten in a wedge over the past couple of weeks. So it's a little bit different, but overall, both of these are in a wedge pattern. And this one's above the moving averages. I believe Roblox was under the moving averages on the 4-hour. Yes, that's right. So if MS is above, which it is, above the moving averages, it's ahead of, in terms of breaking out compared to Roblox. And I'd love to see MS, like I'm about to say MasterCard because MS, MasterCard, but it's Morgan Stanley, guys. MasterCard is MA. That's the ticker on that one. Morgan Stanley, I feel like if we break out of 91.50, overall that high point from the middle of June and the high point from the beginning of July, 91.50, $92, this one could end up breaking out. Plus good earnings from banks, and we'll see. I think JP and Goldman Sachs, they're reporting before Morgan Stanley. So let's see, guys. Usually with a lot of these bank stocks and a lot of sectors and industries, for the most part, not always, but they move in unison. So let's say JP Morgan crushes earnings, Goldman Sachs crushes earnings. That could pop up Morgan Stanley before Morgan Stanley even reports earnings. Same thing with Bank of America, even Wells Fargo. So I like the fact that JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs are reporting before Morgan Stanley. So we'll see what happens with the trend in reaction to their earnings, if that makes any sense. So we're going to be watching MS. I'm also watching AMD this week like a hawk, guys. This one sold off, and rightfully so. It got very overheated. It was at 96, and it got to about 87, so it dropped 10% fairly quickly. And now we're at $90. We closed above that 89, 90 point of resistance from back in the end of April. We held it as support. And now if I extend this to the right, you guys can see it, especially if I zoom in. Uptrend, it looks like it's continuing. So I want to see if we end up filling the gap towards that high point from earlier this month. Maybe we break that. If the uptrend continues, we end up filling the gap up to about $99, $100 per share. And I've been on record saying this stock, in my opinion, is a $100 plus stock. So At this point, we're going to be watching it closely. And full disclosure, I'm long AMD. I'm in at about $76, $77 per share, and I don't plan on selling. Let's put it that way. I don't plan on selling. And NNDM is one that pulled back a lot last week, but now it's opening up a decent opportunity, in my opinion, as we are holding the neckline as support on the 4-hour chart when it comes down to the inverse head and shoulder that we're seeing. So NNDM is down 25% from $9.30 to $7.20. So it's getting slammed. And as long as it holds the neckline, guys, as long as it holds the neckline at $6.77, which as of now it is, and it did last week as well, I think we could end up pushing back up here to maybe those high points from earlier this month, late June. And if we broke 930, I'm still sticking to it, guys. We could end up filling the gap to $11.50, $12, which was that resistance from the middle towards the beginning of March. And that would be the continuation, rather the completion of the right shoulder and the inverse head and shoulder pattern here. So overall, guys, that's it. We broke down some companies, stocks, earnings that are coming up this week, my thoughts on Virgin Galactic, and so forth. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, smash that like button, subscribe, drop a comment, turn on that notification bell, and make sure to check out my Patreon. If you guys want to support me, the channel, and of course, you get a lot of perks such as buys, sells, call-outs, morning update videos, and a lot of exclusive content. The best way to support is the Patreon. That's linked down below, or you guys can go to stasserfest.com/Patreon. Make sure to also get $50 from M1 Finance. Guaranteed money there, guys. Simply deposit $100, and we each get $50 to invest with. You could also get 2 stocks from Webull up to $1,600 with a deposit of $100. All of those are linked down below. Enjoy that. I'll catch you all in the next video. Keep crushing the market. Stay safe out there, guys. Peace out.